Great Khan. Columbus is looking for the Great Khan. Again, 1530 British Museum map. Columbus sails the ocean blue 1492, right? It's 1530, boss. So 30 years later, Columbus is looking for the Great Khan, and they got Prester John on the map in America. They stopped looking for the Fountain of Youth in Ethiopia and all that stuff over there and started looking for the Fountain of Youth in Florida about 500 years ago. So the seafarers are searching for Prester John from 1145 to 1645, and suddenly they stopped looking for the Fountain of Youth anywhere else but America, because after 1645, suddenly they stopped searching. Why? Because they found something and started searching for the Fountain of Youth in Florida, boss. Talking India Superior, the Far East. We're going to talk ends of the earth, right? Let's go. So one of the purposes of the voyages, as we have seen, was to find the Great Khan. And Torres, the Hebrew covert, right, was to be the mouthpiece for this encounter, presumably on this basis of his Hebrew. Perhaps Columbus and his supporters had decided that the Great Khan reported on by Marco Polo and others might be the Israelite king who dwelt across the river from Prester John. Now, this is saying a lot, boss. So by the time Columbus comes, let's put this together, boss. Genghis Khan invades Prester John, 1202 or 1203. There's a takeover then. So anything happening after then is Genghis and them that have stolen the title of Khan. Right now you're calling him Genghis Khan. Before that it was just Genghis something else, right? Genghis something else. He has all kind of other names. So now he's called David. Now he's called Prester. Now he's called Khan. Yeah, Genghis is called David. He took the title David too. Get the drop. He's the Khan. He's the David. They even call him the Prester. Now, who's the Israelite king across the river from Prester John? Couple of theories. One, Genghis Khan's peoples, right? Or Genghis Khan, possibly. Because if Prester had the fountain, Genghis probably got the drop on the Fountain of Youth too. Just like the movie Kang, or, Marvel character Kang. He's king of the timelines, right? Keep the timelines in mind. Keep the Fountain of Youth in mind when you want to think Marvel, and keep the Prester in mind because Prester John is a Marvel character. Go look it up. He's at war against these hijacks, Avengers. He's at war against Iron Man. He's at war against Thor. He's at war against all these. He only teams up with like Deadpool and Cable, something like. He's at war against all these hijacks in the Marvel. That's why they haven't done a Marvel movie about Prester John. But he was also at war against Kang, Kang, who knew how to jump the timelines, had the technology, right? Genghis Khan could be Charles V. Genghis Khan could be jumping the timelines all over the place. You know what I mean? The truth sounds stranger than fiction. So, another thing is, this could just be the Israelite king of, let's say, the northern tribes. And somehow there's, this separation between David and the northern tribes, just like the script, but they had their own king. This is where it gets to the deeper connection with the Sandmanyan, because this river that's separating them, he's going to go later into the Sandmanyan River. I just want to, get a little more, because we're going to bring it into the ends of the earth and get back to Italian PNC, because he's going to start talking ends of the earth. And I just want you to be ready for it. Land was sighted on the night of October 11th, and on the next morning, which was a Friday, the Spaniards reached the island that they subsequently called San Salvador in the Bahamas. There they saw nude men, and some of them set out for shore in armed boats. The boat bearing Columbus and two of his captains holding the banners of Spain preceded the rest. When they landed, they stepped ashore and, staying close to the boat, solemnly proclaimed possession of the island in the name of the king and queen. The no doubt astonished islanders gathered around and asked Columbus writes of his historic encounter, quote, I, in order that they might regard us with great friendship, because I perceived that they were a people who would be better delivered and converted to our holy faith by love than by force. We're going to get some Samuel Sewall selling of Joseph, love to let us find the truth. We're going to dig on, a little bit of this ancient love song versus what they call the excellent the new tune they had to bring to the natives, which is Christianity, right? So they said they took away our ancient love song and gave us a excellent new tune. What happened to Mama? What happened to our ancient love song? What happened to wisdom? What happened to our frequency? It's like 432 verse 440 hertz. The International Standards Organization, the British Standard Institute, changed the concert pitch A chord, A equals 432 to 440. And now all these concertists, all these musicians in concert are now playing 440 instead of 432. We got to search to get the 432 now, or we got to tune it to 432 ourselves. Same thing happened with this ancient love song that's been replaced by what they call an excellent new tune. Just like, oh, now, you should be happy that we want to convert you, right? To our holy faith by love than by force. But we know that came along with it, right? And there was no love. Gave some of them a few red caps and glass beads, which they hung around their necks, and many other things of little value, which gave them a great deal of pleasure, and so won them over to us, that it was a marvel. They're marveling at us, astonished. The act here may hardly seem a worthy offspring to the thought, but Columbus had shipped to Guinea a few times and knew the value that small trinkets could have against the background of the usual treatment of primitive peoples by Europeans. In this epic, Columbus's trifles shine forth like jewels. Columbus was the latitude of the Canaries, and it was clear the aboriginal people of those islands who were now providing his mind with the worldly model by which to perceive the islanders in front of him. There is a touch of Boccaccio's Canaries in his ensuing description. They came swimming to the ship boats where we now were, bringing us parrots and clues of cotton thread, as well as spears and many other things. We took them in exchange for other things. We gave them like small glass beads and hawk bells. In short, they gave us as they received all with the utmost pleasure. But they seem to me a people very poor in every aspect. They go around about naked as when their mothers bore them. The women too, apparently, although all I saw of them was one very young girl. I only saw young men, none of whom seemed more than 30 years old. They were very well formed, with very handsome bodies and very fine faces. Their hair was slick and rough. Slick and rough. Almost like that of a horse's tail. And they wore it down to the tops of the eyebrows, except for a little in the back, which they let grow long and never cut. Some of them paint themselves a sooty color, although they are, in fact, the colors of the Canarians, neither black nor white. So we say, copper color races, you mean? Because we ain't black either, right? Some paint themselves white, some red, some whatever color they can find. Some paint their faces, some the whole body, some only the eyes, and some only the nose. They do not carry arms or even know what they are. We showed them swords, and they grabbed them by the blades and cut themselves in their ignorance. They do not have any iron. Their spears are wooden sticks without iron. Some of them have a fish's tooth at the tip and other things of that sort. And he contemplated these people, was Columbus perhaps recalling the peaceable multitude who greeted Edris's man from the sea? Now we back in the Biblios. Now we back in the Bible. Huh? You just rolled up on like a like a Garden of Eden type of thing. And do we take their narrative of these people are just so ignorant to weapons, or did they roll up on a kingdom, a priesthood, and a civilization? Skipping down here, it says neither are they black like the Ethiopians. He goes on, their hair is smooth and straight. They do not dwell where the rays of the sun strike most vividly. So we're talking about here. There have been rumors and indications among the people encountered of other natives of the islands who were fierce and warlike, who ate human flesh. All right, so now we're talking about cannibals. And these cannibals had straight hair, is that right? All right. So they weren't as melanated. All right, and they didn't dwell where the sun hit. All right, okay. This clearly was meant as a reassurance to anyone who felt, as he did, that black men tended to be more barbarous than whites in any condition. Columbus returned home in 1493, thinking that Cuba was part of the Asian mainland. Or did he know that this is Asia Major? While there, he had even sent Louis Torres on an expedition to find the great Khan, but he nevertheless clearly felt himself to be closer to the region that Ailey and others had gone on referring to as Fortunate Islands. In spite of the Canaries, then to Ethiopia in any sense of the term, he had come to the part of the world where East meets West.